Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Bookstagrammer. My name is Megan. I'm an associate in the social media department at Random House. And today we are going live with Carmen of Tomes and Textiles. And I see her pop in.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and you look gorgeous. Look at that dress.
Oh, thank you. I love your blazer. Who are you wearing?
Well, let's do introductions and then we'll talk
Okay, all right.
about fashion. How about that? So why don't you tell everyone who's watching your name, your Instagram handle, and your pronouns?
Sure. Hi, my name is Carmen, and you can find me at Tones and Textiles, and my preferred pronouns are she and her.
Yay! And so tell me about this dress that you're wearing. We're talking about books and fashion today. So let's start off with fashion.
Yes, so I am wearing a vintage 70s maxi gown. This designer, I can't remember their name right now, but they studied under Emilio Pucci in the 60s, and then they set off and did their own design. So you see a little bit of like lines and colors and things like that. And this is like my homage to you. I did like little rainbow earrings to
Aww.
go with it. And it has a really cool print on the bottom, and I'll take a picture later instead of like standing up and standing on the chair or whatever.
Yes, you have to follow Carmen to see more of the outfits. See, she's linked down below. And if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about, any fashion questions, any books questions, please drop them in the question box down at the bottom, and we will answer them a little bit later. But yeah, I'm glad that we ended up coordinating our looks a little bit. We're very bright colors and
I know. I love it. I love it. What is your blazer? Like, who makes your blazer?
this one is one of my Modcloth ones that
Ooh.
I've had for quite a while actually, but it's super comfy and it's very summery, so I thought I'd throw it on for us today.
Oh, I love it. It's perfect for the weather. And Modcloth is actually really cool because they do a lot of like vintage reproduction looking stuff and actually like reproduce vintage clothes and stuff. So I love that.
Yeah, exactly. They've always been one of my favorites, and they have really good blazers, so they're definitely on my list.
I'm
Um,
surprised.
yeah, surprise. So I want to hear your Bookstagram origin story. Where did you find Bookstagram? How did you decide to start this account? Was it like a hashtag? Did someone show it to you? Tell us the whole story.
So I originally started with blogging with one of my best friends, and I think we went on Twitter. Like, we weren't social media savvy at all, and we went on Twitter and we found out that people were also talking about books on Instagram, and we really had no idea. This was about 5 years ago, so we really didn't understand like how social media works or anything. So we were like, well, we'll start this Bookstagram, but we didn't know anything about it. So it was mostly like a place to put that we had posted on the blog. And then as things sort of evolved, I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I was like, can I take this over? Like, can I have this? Like, I really love taking pictures of books on my, like, it used to be like I just lay a dress and like just take a photo with the cover on the fabric. And so my bestie was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And we were originally called YA Wednesdays, and last year, a year ago, since I had been on my own for a little while, I actually like took one of our other idea names, which is Tomes and Textiles, with her blessing. I didn't like take it from her. Was it like an evil thing? And I became Tomes and Textiles a year ago. So that's sort of like my very weird way to Bookstagram. It started sort of as a blog thing, and it became what I do. I don't blog anymore.
I love that. And one of my next questions was going to be how you came up with the name Tomes and Textiles, because I think it's such a good name. And I'm interested to hear why it was the secondary one. It wasn't your initial, it was one of your like ideas, but not the one you initially went with.
So this is typical of us. So she's here, and I'm going to say hi. I'm going to keep her anonymous. But she and I really like to come up with all sorts of ideas, and the YA Wednesdays name came up first, and then Tones and Textiles ended up coming second, and it was going to be like a secondary project where where we really did do like dresses and books and all this stuff, because we collect kind of similar clothes and all that stuff. And so as with everything, as with every great idea, I think we probably had like 3 or 4 like bookish ideas. And as with everything, you have so many ideas and not enough time to do them all. So it just kind of stayed on the back burner because YA Wednesdays kind of became the major thing. And so I was just lucky enough that when the time came and I was like, hey, I should separate this from our joint thing in case we come back to it, she was like, by all means. She's like, take that name. She's like, it's a great name. She said the same thing you did, which is like, why wasn't that our primary name? So
it's such a great combination. You know, it's exactly what it says it is, and it gets your point across, and it's exactly what your photos look like, and I love it. So you said you started off with sort of the like flat lay look, right, where it was like just the book and the piece of clothing, and you've clearly evolved into like actual art pieces. I mean, anyone that follows you knows that it looks just stunning every single time you post. So can you talk us through a little bit of that evolution? Like what inspired you to take it to the next level?
Sure. So I think the first thing about it is that I was trying to figure out, I think when you first start out, you start out looking at like the aspirational things. And for me, it was like looking at those big accounts that have like, you know, like 20 of these bookshelves in a room and like the most elaborate setup. And I was like, I don't own that many books. I don't know that I can like, I'm even capable of doing this, but I do know I have a lot of clothes and like that can create like texture in the background and things like that. So this has been, if you go all the way back, it's like, it's me learning how to light a photo. It's me learning how to do an angle of a book. Like, I had no idea of any of these kind of technical things that were needed. I just thought if you just stick any book in a photo, you're going to get all these light. I really had no idea about any of this. So, so it started off with just laying a book near a window and with a dress or whatever. And then like, I'll throw in some earrings. That looks interesting. And like, I have a lot of clothes and accessories. And so it's like, it makes it very easy to not have to go out and buy props because I have these other props readily available. So that's sort of how I started putting things down. And I never thought about me in a book. I really never saw that very often. I'd see like hands holding books. I'd see like book in a lap or like book and feed. And, you know, I saw some people with books and I was like, oh, that's cute. I have cute clothes. I should pose with my books. And so, yeah, the flat lay became me laying on the ground, became me finally kind of standing up and doing sort of portraits with books and things like that.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like you and I had similar evolutions into, I guess I'm in the photo now and holding the book at the same time. Like,
I love it. I want to see more of your face.
I know my face is like not in there very much. It's mostly the blazers, but yeah, I had the same sort of evolution where I was like, you know, I really like this this blazer combo. I guess I'll just put it on my, you know, hardwood floor in my tiny apartment and see what happens. And now, you know, it's people want to see my face, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is our new evolution into this.
Yeah, that's really interesting part of being on social media is like people always, they want to know more about you in all these different ways. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. They want to see your face.
It's such a wonderful community. You know, I love having everyone that we talk to you about, even just like the lighting of a photo or the color scheme of a photo. And then of course, obviously our book recommendations as well. There's so many different parts of this community that we can share together, you know, and that's one of my favorite parts about it. What's your favorite part about Bookstagram? Like what makes you get up in the morning and make all these wonderful art pieces to share with us?
So, you know, it's really weird because I think people see my account and they're like, it's all about the photos. But I would say for probably the last like month and a half, it's really been about like what I have to say. So I sort of feel a little bit like Venus flytrap, like, look at my photo, isn't it cute? And then it's like, read the caption. Like I have a lot to say about stuff. So, you know, bring them in. So I haven't really wanted to change the way I do my photos because I find like comfort in doing that and kind of playing around. Like I edit my photos clearly and I do a lot of stuff. So it's mostly become like me playing with like new photo apps and editing apps. And, you know, I just kind of come up with quick little things. The photos are the things that take me the least amount of time anymore. For me, the captions are what take me longer these days, even though it sort of looks like it might be the opposite, it's not.
Yeah, no, I really love that. And that's right. I mean, you have a platform and you have a voice and you have the ability to uplift all of these other voices that need to be uplifted right now. And I think you're doing an amazing job about that. And I do love the idea of like the Venus flytrap. I know you did one of those recently where you were like, look at this great photo. And then here's a long caption that I want you all to read now that you're here for the pretty colors, you know?
Yeah, I've done that a few times, and it's not for any other reason other than I feel like it's not even that I have that big of a following at all. It's just like books and clothes and all these things, they all speak to something, I think, on some level. And I think having a platform, like any platform, like big or small, it's like you should use it for good. I mean, that's my personal belief.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Let's see, what else should we talk about here? Oh, yes, I do want to know. I mean, you are like the queen of vintage clothes, I think. So maybe this is a little bit of a tough question, but where do you find all of these clothes? How did you gather your clothes and accessories collection?
So okay, I can't tell you like all my secrets, but I'm going to give you very broad secrets. So I have been collecting vintage clothes since I was a teenager. Like as soon as I could drive, like I drove to like a record store and I drove to a vintage shop like shortly thereafter. Like those are the first two places, like as soon as I got my license and I got out of school, because I think I got my license before school, and then after school, that's what I did. I was like, I'll be home late. So like books and music and fashion have always sort of been my thing. So there is I started like thrifting and things like that, but the older I've gotten, the less like patient I sort of gotten for like kind of culling through the vintage. And vintage nowadays, it gets all the good vintage gets bought up because in a thrift store, because people are selling on like Etsy and Depop and all that stuff. So what I do now, sort of the evolution of that, is one, there's a really amazing vintage store locally, which I will shout out because however many of you are here, like I want you to support. There's a place here in Tampa called La France. I've been shopping there forever and a day, and they're my favorite vintage store. Like, you know, like in that old TV show Cheers, like people would walk in and like they'd yell the character's name.
Yeah.
That's me at La France. Like I walk in and they're like, Carmen! And like they'll like pull things for me and things. And you know, kind of get me you know, they know my tastes and things like that. So for sure, when I can shop in person, I will definitely be going back there. Then what I do a lot is, because I hang out on the computer a lot, is that there's a few places online. So there's a whole cottage industry on Instagram, vintage clothing, and you can like buy from vintage sellers. So just, you have to kind of know like your verbiage of what you like to collect, and then you can kind of follow the hashtags and find the vendors who sell the things that you like. The other thing I do is on Facebook, there's a bunch of vintage buy, sell, trade groups. So the same way as for books and things like that, this exists, the same thing exists for vintage, and like literally like down to the decade that you collect. So, and these groups are very, they're very specific. They have like terms of engagement, like you have to say interested and you have to say pass when you don't want it. And like people just kind of line up in the comments very politely and you bid on stuff. So that's sort of how I've been buying vintage since, you know, especially since the pandemic and I can't really go anywhere and go shop. That's where I've been looking the most. And I think the reason I collect a lot of vintage really is because like a lot of these clothes have stood the test of time. And so I feel like it can't be any worse than like going to Forever 21 and buying something, you know, it's like that probably lasts as long as like a really delicate vintage piece. So like I feel like I'm shopping sustainably as well, polluting as much. Not to say that there's anything wrong with Forever 21, because that's my favorite place to buy for different things that are hard to find. But you know, it keeps
Did we lose you?
Oh, are you there?
No, there you're back. We're good.
Okay.
Small technical difficulty, but we're fine.
Okay.
I did see a comment scroll by as you were talking about your clothing choices, about your lipstick choices. Do you have some favorite lipstick brands? Because that's actually a really good point. I know you always have such amazing lipstick colors on.
Oh, okay. I've been wearing like MAC lipsticks for a long time. Like I like red lipstick. I used to swing dance a million years ago,
Oh,
and so
cool.
like any red lipstick was always like very welcome in my life. So like MAC Ruby Woo and MAC Russian Red are like my two go-tos that I've been buying forever and ever. And I recently got in on the Besame Cosmetics. Like they make all these they reproduce these like vintage colors from like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And today I'm trying a new one that I just ordered. It's called like Victory Red, I think, and it's a reproduction from like a 1942 formula for red lips. Oh my, sorry about that.
That's awesome.
So that is what I am wearing today. And I'll always wear like a bright red or a bright pink because I feel like my lip color on my natural face is like, I don't know, I'm ghostly pale.
No, I love that. I'm definitely familiar with Besame. I love all of their very vintage, cool looking. They have like an I Love Lucy one, I think, which was one
Yeah,
of my favorites, and they have a Mexican Gothic one that we recently partnered with them on. So they're definitely one of my favorites.
that's awesome.
Okay, so I think you have an insane stack of books that you would like to recommend to all of our viewers. Would you like to dive into your book recs?
Okay. I don't even know. I have them like spread out around me. So I was going to start with like the most recently either reading, because I'm always reading multiple books,
Yes.
or just finished. So I just kind of have those in a stack. Oh, and then most recommended probably. So
Yes.
we're going to start with books. So
I'm ready.
I'm in the middle of An Ember in the Ashes right now. And I read this when it came out, but I had forgotten that Saba Tahir like invented like dual point of view cliffhangers, and like I can't stop reading it. Like I know I'm on a read along and I'm supposed to be leading the read along, but I'm like I am like 3 chapters ahead right now. Like I'm gonna finish long before the read along ends. So if you're looking for fantasy, if you're looking for fantasy the series is going to be completed before the end of the year. I think the fourth book comes out in December.
Mm-hmm.
Start An Ember in the Ashes, because I had forgotten how wondrous and amazing this book is. So this is one of the books I'm currently reading right now.
Okay.
And then they're in no particular order, so I'm sorry if we go all over the place.
No, I'm here for it. Let's go.
I just recently finished the 5th season by
Yes.
N.K. Jemisin, which I had not read this. And again, it's always been said that it's like the best fantasy series ever. And I was like, well, is it? I really did not realize. And I don't even want to say anything about it. Like, I don't even know how people have reviewed it. I've been sort of staring at the cover and I'm like, I know what I want my picture to look like, but I don't know what to post about the book because like my jaw just sort of dropped at the end of this. Anyway, it's wondrous. And if you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend it. And I have the other two back here that I'm going to start reading probably after Ember in the Ashes. So
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Another book I'm in the middle of. This one's coming out beginning of August, but Lobizona by Romina Garber. Not only is this like the prettiest cover that you will see,
Mm-hmm.
but this book actually has some relevance insofar as like undocumented immigration to the United States. There's like a magical school, there's witches, there's werewolves, there's all sorts of stuff, and Romina's really knocking it out of the park. I'm probably about almost like between like a third and halfway through, and I had trouble going to sleep last night, and it wasn't because of this. It was because like I was reading this book and I like couldn't put it down. So be on the lookout for this one in early August. It's wondrous.
I've been seeing that gorgeous cover around for so long. I want it.
Yeah. Soon. Oh, and she just revealed on her Instagram, it has like the secret cover on the inside of it, and it's really beautiful. Like I won't spoil it, but if you want to see it, it's on her Instagram feed.
I will look that up. Thank you.
All right. And then if you know me, you know that Don't Date Rosa Santos is an all-time favorite by Nino Moreno. And this is the soft cover that just came out. The original cover is somewhere back here. But it's available on soft cover, which means like it's much more affordable. And this is like a wondrous story of a young young Cuban American girl who there's some forbidden love and there's some like family curse. And anyway, I adore this book and I recommend this 1,000 times. If you love contemporary, if you love a little bit of magic in your contemporary, like this is definitely a book to read.
Yes, I love that one. I read it last summer. It was a very good summer read. So I'll
Oh God, yeah, it's definitely like if you like beach read type of book, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. And like steamy romance. All right. And then Clap When You Land. Have you read this one?
Yes, it's like right here. I just finished it.
Yeah. Oh, I have like a notification there. Oh yeah, there it is. So Elizabeth's an autobi author for me, and she's just wondrous. Like I don't know how these words pour forth, like how so many amazing words pour out of someone's mind, but everything she writes is magic. And honestly, for me, every book she writes is like my favorite book. However, they're all like, I love them all equally. I didn't know too much about this book going into it, and I almost felt like I appreciated it almost more not knowing as much about the story as I did, but it was wondrous. It was really a great story, and I love, again, like dual point of views. Some people don't like it, but like she really worked it and made this story like very poignant and wonderful for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
And I read all over the place, so I'm sorry that there's no theme. But this is another one I have trouble, I don't know how I'm going to review it, but The Undocumented Americans by Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. This is a nonfiction book, actually, and it's about like the undocumented American experience in the United States. And what she manages to do is that she creates a history that incorporates the undocumented American experience in the United States. And like she ties like relatively current events, such as like in 9/11, she kind of ties that history into like what happened to undocumented Americans before and after that. She talks about, you know, she goes down to Miami and talks about, you know, people who clean homes down there. It's, she went in as an undocumented immigrant herself. She went in and was a part of the community and really created this this story that just is so emotionally gripping, and that a lot of people, I think, search for these experiences because maybe they don't have them. And this is a very this story was just told with so much compassion and heart, and like I think it should be read in lieu of certain books that have been released this year. So I recommend this one very much.
A very good review of that one. It's a very powerful book.
It really is. And I bought the hard copy. I listened to it on audio, and the audiobook is amazing as well. So if you like audiobooks, that's definitely one. Now, I think you might be familiar with these two, and I think it would not be my brand if I didn't bring them up, but like it's Sylvia Moreno Garcia time. Yay! And you know, newly minted, like New York Times bestseller. Yes. And I have Goldsboro editions of both of her books. So for Gods of Jade and Shadow, it has this sort of cinnabar side, and for Mexican Gothic, it has this like velvety red. So I just wanted to, I keep these in plastic, like I don't even collect books, but like I collect her books. So I love her books, and I think people were putting bets on how long until I talked about her books. So, so here we go, like 25 minutes in, Carmen's talking about it. And I don't know, I adore both of these books, and it's weird, I don't even like scary books, and this book was just out of this world. And yeah, I don't know, both of these books, I can't recommend them enough. So that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
We love Sylvia.
Oh my God, she's amazing. She's so amazing. I still have to read the one that came out earlier this year, The Untamed Shore.
Yes.
I still haven't read that one, but I think that's one of the only ones of hers that I haven't read yet. So I'm trying to be a stan as much as possible. Yeah,
Sylvia's #1 fan. I love it.
Yeah, I'm almost afraid, like I don't want her to know that, but anyway, because I think she would be afraid of me. So next is Stant by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi. And this is the YA version. Like they've put like, well, Ibram X. Kendi has like now written this for like all levels at this point. Like it's brilliant.
I think so, yeah.
And this was really good. I actually read this before I read Stamped from the beginning, and I felt like it was a really nice introduction. Like whether you're an adult reader or a YA reader, I thought that this was a really nice, succinct way to put like the complicated topics that were, you know, covered in Stamped from the beginning in even more detail. It's a nice introduction to it all because you can kind of prepare your brain for like that, you know, thick experience of Stamped from the beginning. So I can't recommend this enough. And I actually listened to the audiobook, and Jason Reynolds narrates it, and he's just a wonderful narrator. So I highly recommend the audiobook for this one.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm reading Stamped from the beginning right now, and then I have the YA version as like almost like a review course afterwards is how I'm looking at it. I was looking to see if my copy was around, but it's not. But yeah, I'm sort of doing the other side of that.
Well, you know, I really don't think that there's a wrong way to read it. You know what I mean? It's like no matter what, you're going to have to come back to it. And I'm actually thinking about for Stamped, like coming back and rereading. Like I think I'm just going to alternate back and forth on them like once a year and just kind of refresh and get my brain where it needs to go. Always learning. There's always something to learn and always, you know, something good. Sorry, I just dropped all my books. I don't know how much longer you want to go, but I'm still going here.
Yeah, let's do a couple more, and then I have a book rec, and then we'll see if we can get some questions in. We'll go a little over.
Okay, all right. So All Boys Aren't Blue.
Yes.
Yeah. So by George M. Johnson, and I understand that this book was not written for me, but like this book is it's transformative. It's amazing. Like it's a book that like literally will save lives, and it's written like so beautifully and eloquently, and the way his story is woven together is just brilliant. And he covers like so many different like topics so delicately and wonderfully. And yeah, I've read it and I've listened. He narrates the audiobook. I'm super into audiobooks, so sorry about that. But yeah, I can't recommend this one enough. It's nonfiction. It's a memoir manifesto, and
yes.
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook of that one too, and it's just it's so good. The listening to those beautiful sentences was just inspiring and amazing.
Absolutely.
I recommend that one as well.
Do you want to do your recommendation?
Yes, sure. We will slip one of these in real quick. I am reading It Is Wood, It Is Stone, which is coming out in 2 weeks, I think. Yes, I don't know what day it is. 2 weeks, I think, from One World. And it's an amazing story. Oh, sorry, we're in New York City. That happens. It's an amazing story. It's set in Brazil, and it's about a woman who moves down there with her husband because he got a job at the university, and she's feeling sort of lost, and she's making connections and new relationships with people in her new life, and whether all of them are healthy or not is remains to be seen. So it's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's so one of those books again where it's just every other sentence I'm like, wow, this is stunning, and I want to read that sentence for the first time again, you know. So yes, that one's coming out from One World in a couple of weeks, and I am almost done with it, and I'm absolutely obsessed. So highly recommend that one.
Well, I've been seeing that cover everywhere, and I didn't realize what it was about. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, I wish like One World had like a subscription service, because like every book that they publish, I'm like, I really need that on my shelf. Like I really need to read that. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Okay, I think we have a couple of questions. Let's see if we can grab some of these.
Okay.
Okay. What is your favorite book and outfit combo? Do you have a favorite? That's such a hard question.
I know, it really is hard. So I would say probably anything that requires me to be in a caftan, which is a very large, loose-fitting item, and a book. I am trying to think of my favorite that I've done. I did one, actually, it's not a caftan, but I did do one where it was 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, like that anthology. And I have a little pantsuit that like literally it's like someone took the design from the cover and like just put it on this pantsuit, and it was like you could put the book in front of me and it just like disappears. I'll put it in my stories. I have it saved, and I'll show you. It's like very uncanny. I love when like certain graphics on things like really play off of what the graphics are on the covers, because it's like the colors you can always match, but the graphics are always much harder. And I have a couple of those. And I think that's probably, like, for me, like the most satisfying, my favorite thing to do.
I love that. I love all your caftan photos. They look so comfy, but also so stylish. I don't know how you do it, but it's perfect. Oh, this one's from Mari. Hi, Mari.
Hi, Mari.
What has been your favorite book to match an outfit with? So is that pretty much the same answer, or do you have
That's pretty much it. I did think of another one, which is a forest of 1,000 lanterns.
Yes.
I have this. It's actually not a vintage piece. It's an old anthropology dress, but it's like pink and green, and that book cover with that is another one where like the graphics on it like match the dress really well. They complement each other really well. Mm-hmm. Again, I'll post in my stories if anyone's interested to see, and they can rate it up or down.
Yeah, definitely. I remember the lanterns one. As soon as you said it, I could picture the photo in my head. It was very good. Okay, let's see. I think that was the only questions that came in for now. Okay, great. Okay. So we are just about at time, but I would like to hear some of your favorite Bookstagrammers. Who are you loving their photos? Like, who do you want to shout out? What are your favorite handles that everyone should follow?
Okay, so Mari from Allegedly Mari, she's in here. I see her. Hi.
Yes.
And I think Mari is going to take over the world. And so I think like everyone just needs to get on board with that now. She's always speaking the truth. She takes these photos that are just amazing. And like, I respect her so, so much. I think Alicia at A Kernel of Nonsense, I believe. And she does all these Latinx recs, and her aesthetic just really speaks to me, as well as a fellow Latina. I'm always appreciative of all the books that she recommends. Bezzy from Being the Bookworm.
Yeah.
I don't know, aesthetically pleasing. She straddles the line between like fantasy, YA and adult, and like she's just so smart. Like I feel like I'm always learning from her in this way, and the way she appreciates and breaks down her book reviews. So I adore her. Oh my gosh, it's like you've asked me, and like now I can't even remember anyone. And there's probably a few other people and I'm forgetting, but those are the three that come to mind the most. I try to shout out in my stories everyone who I love, and I try to mix it up as much as possible and share like the people that I appreciate, because it used to be that I had like a handful of friends, and and like accounts I really like. And I feel like the more you're on here, the more accounts you find that you just absolutely adore. And so it's almost hard to keep track. Like I meant to write a list and bring it with me today, but there's a lot of people that I love that I didn't mention. And
yeah, no, I mean, you do such a great job of shouting people out in your stories and sharing photos this week that you loved and all of that lovely stuff. So if you're not following Carmen yet, follow her, and then you will find so many other accounts that are wonderful to follow. So that's how the beauty of Bookstagram works.
Yep.
And I think that's probably a good place to end. But thank you so much for joining me for this little books and fashion chat. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate Random House giving me the time today. Thank you.
Of course. It was so nice to see your face and talk to you
nice to
IRL as best we can.
I know. Well, hopefully one day.
Yes. Thank you to everyone who came and watched. And this will be saved on Random House IGTV in case you missed it, or in case you want to listen back and hear all our wonderful recs. So bye, everyone. Bye. Thanks for joining.